In the summer of 2013, Luke Perrault, a burly man with an appearance that intimidated many, decided to take a well-deserved break from his hectic life. He was a dedicated father and a passionate motorcycle enthusiast. The new motorcycle his mother had bought needed to be tested, and he volunteered to take it for a ride to ensure everything was working perfectly. Luke felt an indescribable freedom as he rode through the quiet roads of rural Canada. The wind on his face and the shining sun brought him a joy that only riding a motorcycle could provide. After hours on the road, he decided to take a break at a Tim Hortons to have a coffee and stretch his legs. As he parked the motorcycle in the cafe's lot, Luke noticed a little girl, maybe about 6 or 7 years old, watching him with wide eyes. She was with her mother, a woman with a stern expression who quickly pulled her daughter closer, murmuring something in her ear. Accustomed to curious looks, Luke smiled and waved at the girl, but the mother pulled her even closer. Luke entered the cafe, hoping to find a quiet corner to enjoy his coffee. While standing in line, he noticed the same little girl and her mother sitting at a table near the entrance. The mother's disapproving looks were evident, but Luke tried to ignore them, focusing on placing his order. After receiving his coffee, he opted to sit outside, enjoying the sun and the sounds of the busy parking lot. The girl seemed fascinated by Luke and his motorcycle. With a shy smile, she waved at him again, and this time Luke waved back, feeling an unexpected connection with the child. However, the mother quickly intervened, pulling her daughter closer and whispering something with a look of tiredness mixed with distrust. Luke couldn't help but overhear a bit of their conversation. "Mommy, why does he look so different?" asked the girl, her eyes fixed on Luke. "Because some people choose to live differently, dear," the mother replied, her tone laden with disapproval. "But it's best not to interact with them. You never know what kind of person they are." Luke sighed, feeling a pang in his chest. He knew his appearance often caused negative reactions, but still the mother's words hurt. He tried to concentrate on his coffee and the warmth of the sun, but the feeling of being judged lingered. Shortly after, Luke noticed the girl approaching again. This time, she managed to escape her mother's watchful eye and ran up to him, her eyes shining with excitement. "Hi," said the girl, her voice cheerful and full of enthusiasm. "Hello," Luke responded in a deep but gentle voice. He was used to attracting attention, especially from curious children. "Do you ride that motorcycle?" she asked, pointing to the shiny bike parked nearby. "Yes, I do. Do you like motorcycles?" Luke asked, noticing the girl's fascination. Before the conversation could continue, the mother appeared, visibly irritated. "Time to go," she said, her voice firm and authoritative. The girl looked at her mother with a sullen expression, clearly not wanting to leave Luke's side. "But Mommy, I just wanted to know more about the bike," protested the girl. No, said the mother, pulling her daughter by the arm. "We don't talk to dirty bikers." The words were like a punch to Luke's gut. He was shocked by the rudeness and obvious prejudice. Feeling hurt, he watched as the mother and daughter walked away. The joy he had felt riding his bike that day disappeared, replaced by a feeling of frustration and sadness. While finishing his coffee, Luke looked at the motorcycle that had once brought him so much joy and now seemed to symbolize the judgment he faced. He knew he couldn't change how people saw him, but he wished they could see beyond his appearance and know the person he really was. Luke decided not to bother with the mother's disapproval and focused on his coffee, but the girl's curiosity wasn't easily dissuaded. When she finished her snack, she managed to break free from her mother's grip and ran over to Luke, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Hi," the girl repeated, now closer to Luke, her enthusiasm evident. "Hi again," Luke responded, trying to hide the pain he still felt from the mother's words. He smiled at the girl, wanting to convey kindness and acceptance. "Can you show me the bike up close?" "It's so beautiful." The girl spoke quickly, as if fearing she might be interrupted at any moment. Luke glanced quickly at the girl's mother, who was a few meters away, distracted by her phone. He knew he should avoid trouble, but the girl's curiosity and enthusiasm were contagious. "Sure, but just for a moment," he said, getting up and walking slowly toward the bike, the girl by his side. As Luke showed the details of the motorcycle, explaining each part with patience, the girl's mother finally noticed her absence and looked up. Her eyes narrowed as she saw her daughter next to Luke, and she quickly got up, walking briskly toward them. "I told you not to talk to him," the mother exclaimed, pulling her daughter by the arm with force. "How many times do I have to tell you to stay away from strangers, especially ones like him?" Luke stepped back, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I was just answering her questions. I don't need your apologies," the mother replied coldly. "I don't want my daughter near someone like you." "Someone like me?" Luke's voice trembled slightly, but he controlled himself. "What exactly does that mean?" "It means," the mother said, her words cutting, "I don't want my daughter having contact with dirty bikers." The girl, clearly confused and upset, looked at Luke and then at her mother. "But, Mommy, he was so nice." "That doesn't matter," the mother interrupted. "We're leaving. Now." Luke stood there watching as the mother dragged her daughter away. What was supposed to be a moment of simple kindness had turned into a humiliating and painful experience. The woman's words echoed in his mind. Dirty bikers. He returned to his table, trying to finish his coffee, but the bitter taste of injustice stopped him. He always knew his appearance could intimidate people, but being labeled so pejoratively in front of a child deeply hurt him. As he sat, Luke looked around and saw other customers watching the scene that had just occurred. Some looked with pity, others with curiosity, but no one approached to offer a word of support. He felt more alone than ever. The sun that once brought comfort now seemed oppressive, and the sound of the parking lot, once a pleasant background, turned into an irritating noise. Luke finished his coffee quickly, wanting to leave that place now stained by hurt. Back on his motorcycle, he put on his helmet and took a deep breath, trying to calm down. "It's just a bad day," he murmured to himself. "Tomorrow will be better." But as he started the bike and left the parking lot, the feeling of frustration and sadness continued to follow him like a shadow. He knew he needed to find a way to deal with it, to turn that pain into something positive, but he didn't know how yet. Back home, Luke couldn't stop thinking about the encounter at the cafe. The ride back, which once seemed invigorating, was now laden with dismay. He rode the roads, but his mind kept returning to the cruel words of the girl's mother. He couldn't understand how someone could judge so quickly without even knowing the person behind the tattoos and leather. As soon as he got home, Luke parked the motorcycle in the garage and went inside, feeling exhausted. The familiar noise of his children's toys scattered around the room and the laughter coming from the backyard should have brought comfort. But at that moment, he just wanted silence to reflect. He threw himself on the couch and tried to watch TV, but he couldn't concentrate. His thoughts kept coming back to the same point. He needed to vent, to express what he felt. That's when he had an idea. He got up quickly and went to the office, turning on the computer with determination. He sat in front of the keyboard and began to type. The words flowed almost automatically, as if they had a life of their own. He wanted the world to know who he really was, beyond appearances. He wanted to tell his story and maybe change the way people viewed those who, like him, were judged by their exterior. "To the mother in the red SUV at Tim Hortons today," he began. Luke described the interaction, explaining how he felt and who he really was: a dedicated father, a beloved son, an honest worker, and not just a tattooed biker. To the mother in the red SUV at Tim Hortons today, yes, I am a big guy, 280 pounds, with motorcycles and covered in tattoos. I'm a welder, I'm loud, I drink beer, I swear, and I look like I would eat your soul if you looked at me wrong. What you don't know is that I have been happily married for 11 years. My kids call me Daddy. I graduated from college. My mom is proud of me and tells everyone how lucky she is to have such a wonderful son. My nieces and nephews are always happy to see Uncle Luke. When my daughter broke her arm, I cried more than she did. I read books, helped people, do my best to thank war veterans, and even cried at Armageddon. So next time I smile and say hi to your little girl and you grab her and say, "No, no, dear, we don't talk to dirty bikers." Remember that, even though you hurt me, this dirty biker would be the first person to run into your burning house to save your daughter's goldfish so she wouldn't be sad. Luke reviewed the message several times, wanting to ensure his words were clear and respectful. He knew he was exposing himself in a very personal way, but he felt it was necessary. He wanted to show the world that stereotypes were unfair and that behind his appearance, there was a decent and loving man. When he was finally satisfied, he posted the letter on Facebook. Within hours, the post began to gain attention, receiving numerous likes, comments, and shares. Friends, family, and even strangers started sending messages of support and solidarity. "Well put, brother," commented a longtime friend. "I'd back you up any day. You're a good guy." Another user, whom Luke didn't know, wrote, "Your story touched me deeply. Thank you for sharing and reminding us not to judge a book by its cover." Luke's message touched many people who supported him and shared their own stories of judgment and prejudice. The letter went viral, quickly spreading across the internet. Luke was moved and, in a way, relieved. His pain had been heard and understood, and he hoped his story would help others see beyond appearances. As night fell, Luke felt a sense of peace. He knew there was still much work to be done to combat prejudice, but he felt he had taken an important step. He turned off the computer and went to bed, his heart a little lighter, ready to face a new day. On the other side of town, Sarah was sitting on her couch, scrolling distractedly through her Facebook feed. It was a quiet afternoon, and her daughter was playing in the next room. Sarah often used social media to stay updated with news and community events. However, that day, a post caught her attention in an unexpected way. A friend had shared an open letter written by a man named Luke. The profile picture showed a large man with tattoos and an expression that Sarah immediately recognized. Her heart tightened as she remembered the encounter at Tim Hortons. For a moment, she considered scrolling past, but curiosity won. She clicked on the post and began to read. As her eyes moved through Luke's words, she felt a mix of emotions. He described their interaction at the cafe, detailing his own experiences and feelings. He revealed himself to be a loving father, a dedicated husband, and an honest worker. Sarah felt a pang of shame as she read each paragraph. Sarah put down her phone, her hands trembling slightly. She got up and walked to the window, looking out as she tried to process what she had just read. Luke's words echoed in her mind. This dirty biker would be the first person to run into your burning house, to save your daughter's goldfish so she wouldn't be sad. She felt terribly ashamed for judging Luke so quickly and harshly. How could I be so prejudiced? She murmured to herself. Sarah always considered herself a fair and kind person, but her actions that day showed otherwise. She knew she needed to do something to make it right, but how? She sat on the couch, her thoughts racing. She needed to teach her daughter a different lesson, one that promoted acceptance and kindness. Sarah decided she couldn't change what she had done, but she could change her future actions. She looked at the room where her daughter was playing, determined to show her a better example. That night, during dinner, Sarah decided to talk to her daughter. "Sweetie, about this morning at the cafe," she began, trying to find the right words. "Yes, Mommy?" the girl responded, curious. "I was wrong to judge that man. I was rude and prejudiced, and that wasn't right. We shouldn't judge people by their appearance, and I want you to know that. The man we met is someone who deserves respect, just like anyone else." The girl nodded, still a little confused, but seeing the seriousness in her mother's eyes. "Okay, Mommy." In the following days, Sarah began making conscious changes in her behavior. She made an effort to smile at strangers, be more patient and less critical. In every interaction, she tried to remember Luke's words, using them as a guide to be a better and more understanding person. She also began teaching her daughter the importance of being kind and open. Whenever they met someone new, Sarah made sure to demonstrate acceptance and respect, regardless of appearance or circumstances. She knew that, although she couldn't change the past, she could positively influence the future. Sarah knew she needed to apologize to Luke, but she didn't know how to find him. She decided to search for his Facebook account, finding it through the letter he had posted. With hesitation, she wrote a message. "Hi, Luke. I'm the mother of the girl from the cafe. I just read your letter and wanted to deeply apologize for my behavior. I was unfair and prejudiced, and I am truly sorry. I would like to talk to you in person if you are willing. Sincerely, Sarah." She sent the message and waited anxiously for a response. The minutes felt like hours as she wondered if Luke would accept her apology. Sarah looked out the window, watching the city at night, hopeful that her message could be a step toward reconciliation. She was determined to show that people can change and learn from their mistakes. Sarah was sitting in her living room, staring at her phone screen, anxiously awaiting a response from Luke. The message she had sent seemed to echo in her mind, full of regret and hope for redemption. She knew she couldn't undo what she had done, but she wanted to show Luke that people could change. Finally, a notification sounded and Sarah hurriedly unlocked her phone. There was a response from Luke. "Hi, Sarah. Thank you for your message. I'm glad my words made you reflect. We all make mistakes, and it takes courage to acknowledge them. I would love to talk to you. Can we meet again at Tim Hortons? Sincerely, Luke." Sarah felt immense relief as she read the response. They arranged to meet at the same Tim Hortons where it all began. The next morning, Sarah was nervous as she drove to the cafe, her daughter by her side, feeling the same anxiety. When they arrived, Luke was already there, sitting outside near his motorcycle. He stood up when he saw them approaching. Sarah noticed the same gentle expression on his face, despite his intimidating appearance. "Hi, Luke," said Sarah, her voice hesitant. "Hi," Luke replied, waving. "Thanks for coming." Sarah took a deep breath. "I wanted to apologize personally for what happened that day. I was unfair and prejudiced, and I'm very sorry for that. I've learned a lot since then." Luke smiled, a sincere and warm smile. "We all have our moments of weakness. The important thing is to learn and grow. I really appreciate you coming here today." Sarah's daughter tugged at her mother's sleeve. "Mommy, he's so nice. Can I see the bike again?" Luke laughed and nodded. "Of course you can." As the girl ran toward the motorcycle, Luke and Sarah sat at the table. "You know," Sarah said, "I realized how wrong I was to judge you. I've been trying to teach my daughter to be more open and not judge by appearances." "That's great," Luke said. "Sometimes the hardest lessons are the ones we need the most." They talked for a while, sharing life stories, challenges, and lessons learned. Sarah told Luke about how she had decided to change her attitudes, trying to be kinder and more understanding. Luke talked about his passion for motorcycles and how each part of his bike told a story. After that morning, Sarah felt renewed. She began to apply what she had learned in her daily life. Every interaction with strangers, every opportunity to show kindness was a chance to reinforce the lesson Luke had taught her. She also taught her daughter the importance of acceptance and empathy. Whenever they saw someone different, Sarah made sure to remind her daughter, "Remember, we don't judge people by their appearance." Luke, in turn, continued to share his story. His letter on Facebook continued to touch people, inspiring many to be more open and accepting. He realized that, despite the initial pain, that experience had turned into something positive, not only for him, but for many others. A few months later, Sarah and Luke met again at the cafe. This time, there was no nervousness, only a growing friendship. Sarah's daughter was delighted with Luke's stories about his motorcycle trips and adventures. "It's amazing how a bad experience can lead to something so good," Sarah said, smiling at Luke. "Yes," Luke agreed. "Sometimes we need to go through difficult moments to grow and learn. And when we can turn that pain into something positive, it's worth it."